My name is Tom Calloway. I'm 63 years old, and I need to confess something that's been eating me alive. 5 years ago, my father died and left me $6.2 million. I never told my wife, Stella, not when she clipped coupons to save $12 on groceries, not when she postponed fixing her teeth because we couldn't afford it, not when our daughter Calder's husband Jarek almost lost everything and I secretly saved him. For 5 years, I played God with money nobody knew existed. I thought I was protecting them. I thought I was being noble. I was wrong. Because last month, one phone call, one stupid banking error exposed everything. The money, the lies, the secret life I'd been living. And what happened next? It destroyed my family in ways I never imagined. My wife of 31 years? She'd been lying to me, too. For 3 years. My daughter? She'd been planning how to spend my inheritance before I was cold in the ground. And Jarek? That man discussed having me declared mentally incompetent to get control of the money. But here's what they didn't know. I'm a history teacher. I've spent 40 years studying human nature. And if there's one thing history teaches you, it's this. When you corner a quiet man, when you push him too far, when you mistake his kindness for weakness, he doesn't get loud. He gets strategic. What I did next wasn't just revenge. It was a masterclass in exposing greed, in showing people exactly who they are when money reveals their true nature. I set a trap. They walked right into it. And what I discovered about my family, about the people I trusted most in this world, it broke me. But it also freed me. If you want to know what that phone call was, if you want to see how a teacher over 60 dismantled his family's greed without raising his voice, if you want to witness the moment my wife realized she'd destroyed everything for money she never earned, then you need to subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell. This story doesn't just need views, it needs witnesses. Because what comes next will make you question everyone you trust, every relationship you have, every secret you're keeping. Like this video if you've ever kept a secret that could destroy your family. Comment? I'm listening if you're ready for the truth. And I promise you by the end of this story, you'll never look at money, marriage, or family the same way again. It starts now. And trust me, you're not ready for where this goes. I remember the exact moment my life split in two. It was a Tuesday afternoon, February 18th. I was in my study grading papers, freshman essays on the French Revolution, most of them copied from the internet, when my phone rang. Mr. Calloway, this is Sharon from First Regional Bank. My stomach dropped. That professional tone, that careful pronunciation of my name. We need to discuss an issue with your account ending in 7743. The trust account. The secret account. The one nobody knew existed. What kind of issue? My mouth was dry. There's been a processing error with a recent large transaction. A donation to Sacred Heart Community Church. The check was drawn from your personal trust instead of being processed as anonymous. I couldn't breathe. What does that mean? It means the church received a check for $50,000 with your name on it, Mr. Calloway. Pastor Ronan called this morning asking us to verify the donation was legitimate before depositing such a large amount. $50,000. My name. The church where Stella volunteered every Sunday. Pastor Ronan has our home number, I whispered. Yes, sir. I'm calling as a courtesy to... I hung up. My hands were shaking. 5 years. 5 years of perfect secrecy, destroyed by bank merger and some clerk's mistake. Then I heard Stella's voice from the kitchen. She was on the phone. Pastor Ronan, hi. No, What? $50,000? No, there must be some mistake. We don't have that kind of... I walked to the kitchen doorway. Stella was standing at the counter, her phone pressed to her ear, her face pale. She turned and saw me. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I watched 31 years of trust begin to crumble. Pastor, she said slowly, her eyes never leaving mine, can you tell me exactly what the check says? A pause. Her hand started trembling. Tom Calloway Trust Account. I see. She lowered the phone. Tom, she said quietly, we need to talk. The next 20 minutes changed everything. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared breakfast for 3 decades, where we'd helped Calder with homework, where we'd planned our modest retirement. Where did you get $50,000? Stella's voice was controlled. Too controlled. I should have lied. Should have said inheritance from a distant relative, a stock investment, anything. But the look in her eyes told me she already knew this was bigger. My father left me money when he died. How much money? The moment hung between us like a blade. $6 million. She laughed. Actually laughed. A sharp, broken sound I'd never heard from her before. You're joking. I'm not. $6 million. She stood up, sat down again. When did he die? 5 years ago. February 2019. The color drained from her face. 5 years, she whispered. You've had $6 million for 5 years and you never told me. Stella. I've been buying store-brand cereal, Tom. Clipping coupons. We share a 15-year-old car because we can't afford a new one. I didn't fix my teeth. Her voice rose. I have 2 broken molars that hurt when I eat, and I didn't fix them because we needed to save money for retirement. I was trying to protect you. Protect me? Protect me? She was shouting now. From what? From being financially secure? From not worrying about money? From this, I shouted back. From exactly this. From what money does to people. She stared at me like I was a stranger. What else have you lied about? Nothing, I swear, nothing else. I don't believe you. She grabbed her phone. I don't believe anything anymore. Who are you calling? Calder. She needs to know what kind of man her father is. My daughter arrived 45 minutes later with her husband, Jarek. They lived 20 minutes away, but it felt like she'd been speeding. Calder burst through the door, her face tight with worry. Mom called and said it was an emergency. What's wrong? Stella looked at me. Tell her. So I did. Again. The inheritance. The amount. The 5 years of secrecy. But this time, I watched different reactions unfold. Calder's shock seemed genuine. $6 million? Grandpa had $6 million? But Jarek's response chilled me to the bone. How much exactly? Not. Are you okay, Dad? Not. This must be complicated. Just, how much exactly? 6.2 million, I said slowly. Jarek and Stella exchanged a look. Quick, meaningful. Wait, they exchanged a look. This is a lot to process, Calder said, sitting down heavily. Dad, why didn't you tell us? I was afraid of this, of everyone looking at me differently, of the money changing everything. Well, it's changed everything now, Stella said coldly. The question is, what are you planning to do about it? Do about it? With the money, Tom. What's the plan? Or were you just going to die one day and surprise us all? The way she said it, clinical, strategic, like I wasn't her husband anymore, like I was a problem to be solved. They stayed for 3 hours that first night. 3 hours of questions that all circled the same thing. The money. How much, where it was, what I planned to do with it, whether I'd considered helping family. Not once did anyone ask how I was doing. Not once did anyone acknowledge that I'd been carrying this secret alone for 5 years. By the time they left, I felt hollow. Stella went to bed without saying good night. I sat in my study until 3 a.m., staring at nothing. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I called my father's attorney first thing the next morning. Gregory, I said when he answered, I need your help with something sensitive. Gregory Chen had handled my father's estate with discretion and precision. He was one of the few people who knew about the trust, about the secret I'd been keeping. Tom, I heard about the bank error. I'm very sorry. I need to know the truth about my family, I interrupted, and I need documentation. There was a pause. What are you asking me to do? I want to create a test. A fake document that outlines potential distributions from the trust. Then I want to see what they do with that information. That's ethically complicated. So is my wife discussing divorce before even trying to understand why I kept the secret. So is my son-in-law calculating inheritance before I'm in the ground. Another pause. What makes you think they're doing that? Because I know people, Gregory. I've been teaching long enough to recognize when someone's playing a role. And right now, my family is performing concern while calculating profit. All right, he said finally, I can draft something. But Tom, be prepared for what you might find out. I already am. The document was brilliant. Gregory created a mock draft distribution plan that looked official but incomplete. It outlined potential gifts. Calder, $500,000. Jarek's business, $200,000. Sacred Heart Church, $1 million. Stella, to be determined based on marital status. That last line was the hook, vague enough to create anxiety, specific enough to plant ideas. I left it in my study, partially visible on my desk. Then I waited. 3 days later, I came home early from the college. Stella's car was in the driveway. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked to my study. The door was ajar. Stella was sitting at my desk, the folder open in front of her. Find what you were looking for? I asked from the doorway. She jumped, her hand flying to her chest. Tom, I didn't hear you come in. Clearly. Her face flushed. The folder was sitting out. I saw our names. So you read my private documents. If they concern me, they're not private. Her defensiveness was instant, sharp. I walked into the room, closed the door behind me. What did it say? She hesitated, then seemed to decide honesty was her best play. That you're considering giving Calder $500,000. Jarek's business, $200,000. The church, $1 million. And me, she swallowed. It says, to be determined based on marital status. And that's not fair, Tom. Her voice hardened. I'm your wife. 31 years of marriage. If anyone deserves financial security from this money, it's me. Deserves. There was that word. You're right, I said calmly. It's not fair. I'm still figuring out what fair looks like. Maybe we should see a financial planner, a marriage counselor, someone who can help us navigate this together. Together. I repeated the word. Like we've been together for the last 5 years while I carried this secret? Or together like the 3 years you've apparently known about money and said nothing? Her face went white. What are you talking about? I know, Stella. Know what? I hired a private investigator, not to spy on you, to protect myself. And what he found was very interesting. I was lying, but I needed to see her reaction. You hired someone to investigate me? Her shock seemed genuine. 3 years ago, you found a bank statement in my jacket pocket. You saw the trust account. You saw a balance of over $4 million. The blood drained from her face. How did you? So, it's true. The confirmation hit harder than I expected. You've known for 3 years and you never said anything. You'd been lying for 2 years by then, she shot back. I was waiting for you to tell me, waiting for you to trust me enough. So instead, you told Calder. Silence. When? I asked quietly. Last year. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I thought maybe she could talk to you, get you to open up. So my daughter's known for a year, both of you watching me lie, saying nothing, just waiting. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Stella? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been biding your time, planning, calculating your position. I was protecting myself, she said, and there was real pain in her voice now. You lied to me first, Tom. You broke our marriage first. I was just trying to figure out what I'd be left with if everything fell apart. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Instead, I did something I'm not proud of. I called in a favor from a colleague whose nephew worked in private security. Within 2 days, I had audio surveillance set up in Jarek's office, legal in our state with single-party consent, obtained through his assistant who thought it was a quality assurance measure. What I heard 3 days later made me physically ill. It was Stella, Calder, and Jarek, meeting without me. Jarek's voice: "If he's getting cold feet about distributions, we need to move strategically. Stella, you have the most leverage. Community property laws in this state." Stella: "I already consulted an attorney. Confidentially. If we divorce, I'm entitled to half of everything acquired during the marriage. The lawyer thinks we have a strong case that the inheritance should be split since it came during our marriage." My hands clenched into fists. Calder: "Mom, are you seriously considering divorce over this?" Stella: "I'm considering my options. Your father has proven he can't be trusted with major decisions. If he won't be reasonable, there are legal avenues to ensure everyone gets what's fair." Jarek again: "There's another angle we should consider. Given his age and his erratic behavior lately, a good attorney might be able to argue—" "Don't," Calder interrupted. "Don't say it. I'm just saying, if we could establish that he's not mentally competent to manage this kind of money—" "Absolutely not." Calder's voice was firm. "That's too far. That's crossing a line." Thank God. At least my daughter had some boundaries. But Stella said nothing. She didn't shut it down. She didn't object. She just listened. I played that recording 5 times. Each time, something inside me hardened further. The woman I'd loved for 31 years had spent the last 3 years lying to me, had consulted a divorce attorney, had sat in a room while someone discussed declaring me incompetent, and hadn't said a word in my defense. That's when I called Gregory back. "Execute Phase 2, I said. "Let's show them exactly what greed looks like." I spent 3 days planning the perfect confrontation. Not a screaming match, not threats or accusations. Something far more effective, giving them exactly what they wanted, then watching them reveal who they really were. Gregory helped me craft the second document. This one real, legally binding, and devastating. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" he asked over the phone. "Once we execute this, there's no going back." I've never been more sure of anything. "Tom, destroying your marriage over money—" "I'm not destroying anything," I interrupted. "They already did that. I'm just making sure everyone sees the wreckage clearly." The plan was simple, brutal, perfect. I called a family meeting for Sunday afternoon. Formal invitation sent via text. My house, 2 p.m. sharp. Stella arrived first, her face carefully neutral. She'd been sleeping in the guest room for 2 weeks. We'd barely spoken beyond logistics. Calder and Jarek showed up 10 minutes later, parking in the driveway like they were arriving for a business meeting, not visiting family. That's what we'd become. A business transaction. "Thank you all for coming," I said once everyone was seated in the living room, the same room where this nightmare had started a month ago. I remained standing, positioned myself in front of the fireplace, a folder in my hands. "I want to start with an apology." That got their attention. Stella's eyes widened slightly. Calder leaned forward. "I was wrong to keep the inheritance secret. It was cowardly and selfish. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership, and I violated that fundamental trust." I looked directly at Stella. "You deserved to know. You deserved to be part of that decision." "Tom," Stella's voice cracked. I held up my hand. "Please, let me finish." I opened the folder, pulled out the first document, the fake one I'd left for Stella to find. This draft distribution plan that somehow made its way around to everyone. I watched Stella's face flush. It wasn't real. I created it specifically to see what you'd all do with the information. "You set us up?" Calder's voice was sharp. "I gave you an opportunity to show me who you really are, and you took it." I pulled out my phone, set it on the coffee table. "I have recordings from the meeting you 3 had at Jarek's office last week." The room went absolutely silent. Jarek stood up. "You recorded us? That's illegal." "Sit down," I said quietly. "It's completely legal in this state. Single-party consent. Your assistant consented when she thought it was quality assurance." "You son of a—" I said, "Sit down." Something in my voice made him obey. I pressed play on my phone. Jarek's voice filled the room. "If we could establish that he's not mentally competent to manage this kind of money—" Calder's face went white. "Dad, I shut that down." "You did," I agreed. "You drew a line. You were the only one who did." I looked at Stella. You, on the other hand, said nothing. You sat there while someone discussed declaring me incompetent, and you didn't say a word. I would never have let it go that far. I don't believe you. I pulled out another document. Because I also know you consulted a divorce attorney, discussed community property laws, calculated how to extract money from me legally. Stella stood up, tears streaming down her face. I was protecting myself. You lied to me for 5 years. And you lied to me for 3. My calm finally cracked. You found that bank statement 3 years ago. You knew about the money. You told Calder. You both watched me lie every single day while you made plans for money that was never yours. "It is mine," Stella shouted. "I'm your wife. 31 years, Tom. Everything we have is supposed to be ours together. Then why did you go to a lawyer instead of coming to me?" She had no answer for that. I turned to the folder again, pulled out 3 envelopes. "I've made some decisions about the trust. Gregory executed the final documents yesterday. These are your copies." I handed the first envelope to Calder. "Yours?" She opened it with shaking hands, read it. Her eyes went wide. "Dad, this is a check for $200,000. "A gift," I said, "not an inheritance, for being the only person in this room who remembered I'm a human being, not an ATM machine. No strings attached. Use it however you want." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I don't deserve this." "Maybe not. But you're the only one who hesitated. The only one who said, 'That's too far,' when someone wanted to destroy me for money. So you get rewarded for having a shred of decency left." I handed the second envelope to Stella. She opened it, stared at the paper inside. Her hand started trembling. "This is a check for $3.1 million. "Half the trust," I confirmed. "Your divorce settlement, since you were already planning one." "Tom, no. I filed papers this morning. They'll be served tomorrow. You wanted financial security? You've got it. You'll never have to wonder if I'm hiding money again. You're divorcing me." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You were going to divorce me first. I'm just saving us both the pretense." I turned to Jarek, handed him the third envelope. He opened it slowly, read it. His face turned bright red. "This is an invoice for $30,000. Plus 5 years of interest at 6%, I said. "That grant your business received wasn't a grant. It was a loan, and I'm calling it in. You have 30 days. I can't pay this. You know I can't. Then I guess your business fails." I shrugged. "Funny how that works when money you were counting on disappears." "You bastard!" "Careful." My voice dropped to ice. "You're in my house, speaking to the man who saved your career once and could destroy it now. Choose your next words very carefully." Stella was sobbing now. Full, broken sobs that might have moved me a month ago. Now they just sounded like regret for getting caught. "The remaining $2.5 million, I continued, is being transferred into a charitable foundation, the Calder Foundation." My daughter looked up sharply through her tears. "Named after you. Not for you. In honor of the fact that you were the only person in this family who chose humanity over greed, even for a moment. It'll fund college scholarships for low-income students. Everything my father never cared about." "Tom, please." Stella reached for me. "Please don't do this. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can—" "We're done, Stella." I stepped back from her touch. We've been done since the moment you chose to consult a lawyer instead of talking to your husband, since you sat in a room and listened to someone discuss declaring me incompetent and said nothing. I love you. You love the idea of security. You love the comfortable life. You might have even loved me once, but you don't anymore, and I don't love who you've become. I walked to the door, opened it. You're all free to go now. Stella, your attorney will receive the divorce papers tomorrow. Jarek, expect the invoice by certified mail. Calder. I looked at my daughter. I'd like you to stay, if you want. Stella stood frozen for a moment, like she couldn't believe this was happening. Then she walked out. Jarek followed, his face twisted with rage. Calder stayed. The house felt different after they left. Emptier. Quieter. Like something essential had been removed and now the walls were just echoing. Calder sat across from me in the living room, the $200,000 check still in her hand. I can't accept this, she said finally. You already did. It's done. Dad, this is too much money, and I don't deserve it. I knew about the inheritance for a year and I said nothing. I let Mom drag me into her planning. I went to that meeting with Jarek. But you drew a line. I leaned forward. When it mattered most, when Jarek suggested something truly evil, you said no. You were the only one. She was crying again. I should have said no to all of it. Should have come to you the moment Mom told me. Should have... Stop. I reached across and took her hand. You're human. You made mistakes, but you're also the only person who remembered I'm your father, not a retirement account. She looked down at the check. What am I supposed to do with this? Whatever you want. Pay off your house. Save it. Invest it. I don't care. It's yours. No conditions. Jarek will expect. Jarek is about to get a very expensive lesson in consequences. What you do with your money is none of his business. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, are you really divorcing Mom? Yes. Do you hate her? I thought about that. Really thought. No, I said finally. I don't hate her. I hate what she became when money entered the equation. I hate that she chose strategy over honesty. But the woman I married, the woman who taught second grade and volunteered at soup kitchens and laughed at terrible jokes, I loved her. I still love the memory of her. She's scared, Dad, terrified of being alone, of losing everything. She's not losing everything. She's getting $3.1 million. She'll be fine financially. That's not what I mean. I knew what she meant, but I was too tired to care. I need you to go now, sweetie, I said gently. I need to be alone for a while. She hugged me tight before she left, whispered, I love you, against my shoulder. I believed her. That night I sat in the dark and wondered if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. The divorce papers were served the next morning. Stella called me 17 times. I didn't answer. Finally, she showed up at the house. Let herself in with her key. I hadn't changed the locks yet. Tom, please, we need to talk. I was in the kitchen making coffee. Didn't turn around. The papers say everything that needs to be said. I don't want a divorce. Her voice was thick with tears. I don't want the money. I just want my husband back. Which husband? I turned to face her. The one you trusted, or the one you investigated and strategized against? I made mistakes. You plan to take me to court, Stella, to divorce me and claim half my inheritance through community property laws. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. I was scared. You'd been lying for 5 years. What was I supposed to do? Talk to me. My voice rose despite my best efforts. You had 3 years after you found that bank statement to say something. 3 years to ask questions, to have a conversation, to act like my partner. Instead, you told our daughter, made plans, and waited to see what you could extract from the situation. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. You want to know the difference between us? When I found out you'd been lying for 3 years, my first instinct wasn't to call a lawyer. It was to feel betrayed, to feel hurt. not to calculate my legal position. She sank into a chair. I don't know how to fix this. You can't. I poured my coffee, deliberately calm. Some things, once broken, don't go back together. We're one of them. So that's it? 31 years? Gone? Those 31 years ended the moment you chose money over trust. I'm just making it official. She left eventually. Took her key with her. I asked for it back. The house had never felt more empty. 2 days later, Jarek showed up. He didn't knock. Just walked in through the back door. Apparently, Calder had given him her old key. We need to talk, he said, his voice hard. Get out of my house. Not until you withdraw that invoice. I can't pay $30,000, Tom. You know I can't. You'll destroy my business. Good. Maybe you'll get an actual job instead of pretending to be an entrepreneur. His face went red. You smug son of a bitch. You've been sitting on millions while the rest of us struggle. I saved your business once, with my money. Money you thought was a grant from some non-profit. I kept you afloat and you repaid me by plotting how to get more. I have a family to support. You have my daughter to support, and she just got $200,000 that has nothing to do with you. That stopped him. What? Calder got a gift, a substantial one, for being the only decent person in this nightmare. What she does with it is her business. We're married. That money is community property. Talk to a lawyer, I suggested. I hear they're expensive. He took a step toward me, threatening. I didn't move, just looked at him. You really want to try that? I asked quietly. I'm 63 years old, Jarek. I've got nothing to lose. You're 35 with a failing business and a wife who's about to question every decision you've made. Think very carefully about your next move. He stopped, some primal survival instinct kicking in. The invoice stands, I said. 30 days. Figure it out. He left cursing under his breath. I should have felt victorious, powerful. Instead, I just felt tired. A week later, something unexpected happened. Calder called, asked me to meet her for coffee. When I arrived, she was already there, looking nervous. I've been thinking about the $200,000, she said without preamble. It's yours. You don't owe me explanations. I know, but I want to tell you anyway. She pulled out her phone, showed me a screen. I'm splitting it. $100,000 goes into a college fund for our future kids. Jarek and I have been talking about starting a family. I felt a pang. Grandchildren I might never have a relationship with now. And the other $100,000? I asked. I'm donating it to your foundation, the Calder Foundation. I stared at her. Why? Because you taught me something, Dad. These last few weeks, watching everything fall apart, watching how money made all of us act, you taught me that money is either a tool or a weapon, and I want it to be a tool. I want to build something good with it. My throat tightened. Calder? I'm also leaving Jarek. That shocked me. What? Not right away, but I've been thinking about who I married and why, and I think I married him partly because he needed me, because fixing his business, supporting his dreams, it made me feel important. She wiped her eyes. But after seeing how he acted when your money came into play, I don't like who he is, and I don't like who I become around him. This is a big decision. I know, and I'm not rushing it, but I wanted you to know. I'm choosing me. I'm choosing integrity, the way you did. I reached across the table, took her hand. I'm proud of you, I said, more than you know. She smiled through her tears. Yeah, well, I had a good teacher, even if he makes terrible decisions about bank security. We both laughed, the first real laugh I'd had in weeks. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Stella. Using a friend's phone since you blocked mine. I'm not signing the divorce papers. I'm not taking the $3.1 million. If you want a divorce, you'll have to fight me for it, because I'm not giving up on 31 years without a real conversation. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, fine, tomorrow, 2 p.m., the coffee shop where we had our first date. Just you and me. No lawyers, no money talk. Just honest conversation about who we are and whether anything can be salvaged. Her response came immediately. I'll be there. I set down my phone. Tomorrow would either be the beginning of something new or the final ending of everything old. Either way, it was time to face the truth. The coffee shop looked exactly the same as it had 40 years ago. Different owners, different paint, different menu, but the same corner booth where I'd nervously asked a 23-year-old teacher named Stella if she'd like to have dinner sometime. She'd said yes then. I wondered what she'd say now. She arrived at exactly 2 p.m., looking smaller somehow, thinner. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup, no armor. Just Stella. We sat across from each other in that same corner booth. For a full minute, neither of us spoke. I don't know how to start, she said finally. Neither do I. She laughed, sad, broken. We used to talk for hours, remember? We closed down restaurants because we couldn't stop talking. That was a long time ago? Was it? She looked at me directly. Or did we just stop listening? I didn't have an answer for that. She took a breath. I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to manipulate. I'm here because I owe you the truth. The real truth. I'm listening. I found that bank statement 3 years ago, she began, in your jacket pocket. I saw the trust account, saw it had over $4 million in it, and my first reaction wasn't anger. It was relief. That surprised me. Relief? Because I thought, finally we'll be okay. We can stop worrying about retirement, about being a burden to Calder someday. We can breathe. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. But then you didn't say anything. Days passed, weeks, months, and you just kept pretending we were scraping by. I was protecting you. I know, and that's what made it worse. Her eyes filled with tears, because it meant you didn't trust me. After 28 years of marriage, you looked at me and saw someone who couldn't handle the truth. That's not. It is, Tom. You made a unilateral decision about our entire financial future without including me. And when I found out accidentally, I realized my husband doesn't see me as a partner. He sees me as someone to manage. The words hit harder than I expected. So I got angry, she continued, angrier than I'd ever been. And I did something stupid. I told Calder, not to plot against you, but because I needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy for feeling betrayed. You consulted a divorce attorney. Yes. She didn't flinch from it. I did, because I was terrified. Terrified that you'd give all that money away to the church, to strangers, to everyone except the woman who'd spent 3 decades building a life with you. I needed to know what my options were if everything fell apart. You sat in a room while Jarek discussed declaring me incompetent. She closed her eyes. That was the worst moment of my life, hearing those words, and I froze. I should have walked out, should have defended you, but I was so angry at you, so hurt, that I just sat there. You didn't say no. No, I didn't. She opened her eyes, and they were full of anguish. And I will regret that silence for the rest of my life, because whatever you did, whatever lies you told, you didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that. We sat in silence. I loved you, I said quietly. I loved you so much that the thought of money destroying us terrified me more than lying to you did. And I was wrong. The lying destroyed us anyway. We destroyed us, she corrected. Both of us. Me with my planning and strategizing. You with your secrets and control. So where does that leave us? She reached across the table, took my hand. I didn't pull away. I don't want your money, Tom. I never did. I wanted my husband to trust me enough to share his life with me. All of it. Even the complicated parts. I don't know if I can trust you again. I know. A tear slid down her cheek. And I don't know if I can trust you again either. But I think I think maybe we owe it to 31 years to try. Not to go back to what we were, but to see if we can build something new, something honest. What does that look like? Counseling. Real counseling. Complete financial transparency. From both of us. No more secrets, no more strategies. Just two people trying to figure out if love can survive betrayal. And if it can't, then at least we'll know we tried, that we didn't let money be the last word in our story. I looked at this woman I'd loved for 3 decades, really looked, and I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Genuine remorse, real vulnerability, not manipulation, not calculation, just Stella, broken and scared and hoping. I filed for divorce, I said. I know. I gave away most of the money. I know that too. I don't know if I can forgive what you did. I don't know if I can forgive what I did either, she said, but I'd like to try. With you, if you'll let me. I thought about my empty house, my destroyed family, the victory that felt like defeat, and I thought about second chances. One condition, I said. Anything. The $3.1 million check I gave you? You donate it, all of it, to the foundation. She stared at me. Tom, that's what it'll take for me to believe you mean what you're saying. That this isn't about money. That you genuinely want to rebuild us, not secure your future. That's over $3 million. I know, and if you can walk away from it to fight for this marriage, then maybe, just maybe, we have something worth saving. She was quiet for a long time. Then she pulled out her phone, typed something, showed me the screen. It was an email to her attorney. Please prepare documents to donate the $3.1 million settlement to the Calder Foundation. Full amount, no conditions, execute immediately. She hit send. There, she said, her voice shaking. It's done. Not because you demanded it, but because you're right. I'd rather have a chance at real marriage than all the money in the world. I felt something crack open in my chest, something that had been frozen for months. I'll withdraw the divorce papers, I said. We'll start counseling next week. And Stella, if you ever lie to me again, even once, we're done. No second chances. No negotiations. Same goes for you, she said firmly. No more secrets. No more protecting me from the truth. We're partners, or we're nothing. Partners, I agreed. We sat there, hands clasped across the table, two broken people choosing the hard path instead of the easy one. It wasn't forgiveness yet. It wasn't even close to healed, but it was a start. 2 years later. I'm 65 now. Stella is 64. We still live in the same house, but it feels different. Lighter somehow. Counseling was brutal. Dr. Ronan, yes, the same Pastor Ronan who inadvertently exposed my secret, who'd retired from the church and become a marriage counselor, made us face everything we'd buried for decades. Not just the money. Everything. The miscarriages we never properly grieved. The resentments we'd swallowed. The ways we'd stopped really seeing each other somewhere around year 15. It took a year before I could say, I trust you, and mean it. It took Stella longer. But we got there. The foundation is thriving. With Stella's donated $3.1 million plus my original $2.5 million, we've awarded scholarships to over 40 students. Kids who couldn't afford college, who thought their dreams were impossible. Stella runs it now. She retired from teaching and poured everything into making the foundation her legacy. Our legacy. Watching her work with those kids, seeing her light up when another student gets accepted to their dream school, that's when I see the woman I fell in love with. The one who cares more about people than possessions. Calder left Jarek a year ago. It wasn't dramatic, no screaming, no lawyers. She just sat him down one day and said, I deserve a partner who sees me as more than a funding source, and you deserve someone who wants to fix you. I'm done being both. She's teaching again, 3rd grade. She lights up when she talks about her students. She's also dating someone new, a fellow teacher named Marcus who makes her laugh and doesn't need her money because he's got his own. She still hasn't touched most of that $100,000 college fund. Says she's waiting until she finds someone worth building that future with. Jarek paid back the $30,000. Took him 18 months, working 2 jobs. He called me when he made the final payment. I was wrong, he said, simple as that. About everything. I treated you like a bank instead of Calder's father. I let greed make me into someone I'm ashamed of. What are you going to do now? I asked. Figure out who I am without someone else's money propping me up. I respected that. The rest of the trust, about $400,000 I kept for genuine emergencies, sits untouched. Stella knows about every penny. We review the statements together monthly. Complete transparency. Always. Last month we took our first real vacation in 10 years. Scotland. Stella had always wanted to go. We stood on a cliff overlooking the North Sea, wind whipping around us, and she said, "I'm glad it happened." What? All of it. The money, the explosion, everything. Because we were dying slowly before that. Comfortable and polite and completely disconnected. At least now we're alive. Really alive. She was right. The money didn't destroy us. It just revealed what was already broken. And breaking gave us the chance to rebuild correctly. Last week, I got a letter from one of our scholarship recipients. A girl named Maria, first in her family to go to college, studying to be a doctor. "Mr. Calloway," she wrote, "I don't know what made you start this foundation. I don't know your story. But I want you to know that because of you, I'm going to save lives. Because you believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. Thank you for seeing past my bank account to my potential. That's the real gift." I showed it to Stella. We both cried. "Your father's money," she said quietly. "Finally doing what it should have done all along. Creating something beautiful instead of destroying it." "Our money," I corrected. "This is us. Together. Building something that matters." She kissed me. Really kissed me. Like we were 23 again. Some things are worth fighting for. Some betrayals can be forgiven. And some stories, even after they're broken into pieces, can be carefully, painfully, beautifully put back together. Not the same as before. Better. My name is Tom Calloway. I'm 65 years old. I kept a $6 million secret from my wife for 5 years. When the truth exploded, it destroyed my family, exposed everyone's greed, and forced me to choose between revenge and redemption. I chose both, and I'd do it all over again. Because now I have something my father's money could never buy. A real marriage, real purpose, real peace. The money revealed who everyone really was, and then it gave us all the chance to become who we should have been all along. This is the end of my story. But maybe it's the beginning of yours. If you've been keeping secrets from the people you love, tell them. Before a phone call does it for you. If money has become more important than people, step back, reevaluate, choose what matters. And if you've betrayed someone or been betrayed, know this: redemption is possible. It's hard. It's painful. It requires both people to choose truth over comfort. But it's possible. Thank you for walking this journey with me, for witnessing my mistakes, my revenge, and my redemption. If this story meant something to you, subscribe, because stories like this need to be heard. Like, so others who need this message can find it. Comment your thoughts. Your own stories. Your own struggles with money, family, and trust. This community is here for you, and most importantly, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone keeping secrets. Someone struggling with family and money. Someone who needs to know that broken things can heal. My name is Tom Calloway. This was my story. What's yours?